Hey everybody, this is Ethan here with JD, and we're back at you with another episode of the Coronavirus Sports Boredom Show. Things starting to open up a little bit. We're still out here talking sports. We want to be bringing you at least weekly content. And we're going to start this thing off with the breaking news of the day from the UFC. Conor McGregor, the notorious one, calling it a career, age 31. The former double champ is supposedly done with the UFC, done with professional MMA. So I guess your thoughts on Conor's career, and do you think this is the last we've seen of the notorious Conor McGregor?
Well, first off, my dude, Connor, my man, I love him. Um, it's his second time, retiring. Retiring always doesn't have to be permanent. That's the new thing with retiring. We've seen it in Favre, we've seen it in Jordan, we've seen it in a lot of people. Um, Connor's a dog. I mean, he's my man. He'd kill Khabib, kill anyone. Um, reason I feel like he didn't beat Khabib the first time, because he didn't fight in 3 years. But you put him in the ring with Khabib again, Connor wins. He's my man. I mean, I think he's probably one of the best UFC fighters ever. He's known for he's known for so many things. Trash talk being one of the trademarks of Conor McGregor. Um, but not only that, I mean, he's just an experienced fighter. Look how many knockouts that he had within the first minute, seconds, the first round always. He's a good fighter. Respect to all the guys he's faced, like Khabib, Nate Diaz. He's had some epic fights. But respect to that man, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. So I personally think Khabib is the better fighter, but that's another discussion for
No,
another day.
no, no.
Uh,
That's arbitrary.
Khabib has not lost, but that's kind of that's another topic. As for his retirement, Conor has retired essentially is retired twice now, and I don't think either of them were on his terms. This is a guy who said basically, I'm a champion. I want to be a true champion, and I'm not gonna be done fighting until I can't fight anymore. And now, second time he stepped away from the game, as he calls it. The first time it was due to a lot of his personal outside the ring issues and whatnot, which he seems to have overcome. And secondly, I think he's just frustrated with the entire situation with the pandemic and whatnot. And heck, aren't we all? But Conor is 31. I get that he's been through a lot. He's the UFC's biggest star in terms of the publicity and whatnot. Um, but I have a hard time not imagining that guy coming back. But as for his career, uh, you know, Connor's a really interesting guy. I mean, you can't. He's a really interesting guy. Uh, so much trash talking, so much fight hype and whatnot. But I hope if this is Conor McGregor's swan song, I hope that if he's fought his last fight, um, we remember Conor not just for the trash talk and the crazy antics, but as a guy who, at the end of the day, crazy or not, had respect for the guys he was going against, had respect for the UFC and respect for martial arts. I mean, this was one of the dudes who would completely destroy you in pre-fight with his mouth and destroy you in the fight with his fists. But after the fight, he's the kind of dude who would win or lose, hug it out and have respect for it.
And that's what we saw with the Cowboy in Dallas.
Yep,
Corona. Yeah.
he's done so much to, you know, obviously, who the f is that guy? The double champ does what the f he wants. He's done so much to
Well, that's all.
destroy
That's all part
people,
of fighting.
but
He's a man for the fans.
he's a showman. Exactly, that's exactly it. And I hope that if Connor's really done, which again I have a hard time believing he's done, but if he's really done,
Sam. Yeah.
I hope we think about Connor not just as the the crazy the crazy Irish dude, and I can say that because I got some Irish blood in me as well. But I hope we remember him for being a truly respectful and a great champion in a lot of ways. Sure, he's had his issues, but cool guy. And again, you talked about retiring isn't a permanent trend anymore. We saw it with Gronk. We saw it even as far back as Jordan. I don't think the man's done, but we will see. I don't know what to make of it all, but we will see.
Well, too, as I was looking this up real fast, thinking, I mean, you look at Khabib, you look at the different fighters. Conor has tons of knockouts. I mean, he's not a guy that just will, go and fight you and win. He's a guy that will literally tear you apart until you're done. And I mean, everyone's seen Conor's famous 36 or whatever second knockout it was. Stuff like that will go down in history, and it's always going to be there. But we could talk about Conor for probably days and days and days. But I want to jump to NASCAR real fast, and obviously this show won't be released until probably another day or two. But I know you watched the race. We just watched NASCAR in Atlanta. Kevin Harvick had a great race after Truex won the first two poles. Give me your quick thoughts on Atlanta, and also if you want to start with Bristol from last week, where Keselowski pulled out, and the confrontation between Elliott and Logano not being happy that Elliott didn't apologize right away.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start it off with Bristol. Here's the thing. I mean, it's Bristol. It's short tracking. It's short track racing. You're gonna get that kind of stuff. You're gonna get banging doors, drivers going for the win, and every once in a while, it's gonna end up with a couple of cooked cars in the infield and a couple of drivers not very happy with each other. I think that's just part of the sport. And here's the thing. I've heard former drivers talk, and people involved with the sport say, hey, there's no protocol for this, how you go about this. Obviously late in the race, Chase misjudges a move and takes Logano out. And Logano quite possibly could have won. But there's no protocol for how you apologize to that dude. And I remember Logano talking about it, and believe me, I know Logano gets a lot of hate. I like Logano a lot. I think he's a good guy and a good driver. But, his response was, well, I waited in my car for about a minute and he didn't come and see me. Well, give the man a little more time at least, like don't take it so personally. And I get there's a lot of emotions running high after that race. And that goes for Chase as well as it goes for Joey. So it's more the statement that Joey had a while after that race where he was still upset with the way Chase handled it. I feel like that was kind of the problem. And I think Joey has a right to be mad. He has a right to be mad that he got taken out of a race that he thought he was going to win. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you got to realize that's racing, and that's both drivers going for the win. So congrats to Brad being in the right place at the right time. And as for Atlanta today, pretty fun race, a really fascinating race. I love tire strategy. I love green flag pit stops. We got to see a couple of late green flag pit stop cycles in that race. It was a ton of fun. We saw Clint Boyer a couple times coming too early and paying the price for that. I'm going to talk a little bit of math real quick. I know we don't usually do that on the show, but I like math. I love stats. So I'm going to talk a little bit of math. Okay, so you have whatever it is, say 100 laps in a stage, and you're going to have to make one pit stop over that stage. So, at a track like Atlanta, you're going to have to stop every stage for sure. And if you split that stage down the middle, I think that's the optimal strategy, because here's the thing. You'll be going faster, obviously, on fresher tires for the part of the stage where you're going for, say, you split it 30 and 70, those 30 laps you'll be going faster, but those last 70, when you're on older tires at the end, here's the thing. Slowness is more effective than fastness, because part of being slow is that you're doing it for a long period of time. So if you can keep a constant speed for the entire stage, essentially, that's going to be more effective than finishing the race or trying to get to a point on old tires. I think the optimal strategy, try to split that thing right down the middle.
But the thing with splitting too is that you got to remember fresh tires always. I mean, we saw it with Kurt Busch today. Kurt Busch and Jimmy, you saw it in a couple guys in the top 10. They pitted before early around the 70 laps to go, 60 laps to go.
Probably
I think
closer to 60, 62.
Yeah, it wasn't 70. It was closer to 60. Yeah, and they still finished in top 10. Kurt gained. Kurt was outside the top 10 when he pitted, so that was good right there. Good strategy there. But I want to take a look at two. I mean, Truex won the first two poles. I don't necessarily think he was the best car in the race, obviously, as he didn't win. And when you saw the third stage, Kyle had the early lead, and Harvick and his team did a phenomenal job of just blazing out the rest of the race.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't even he did win, but he didn't win just by winning. He won by 3.5 seconds.
Hey, man,
And
they don't
if
call him
you
the closer for nothing. He saves his best for the end.
if you look outside the top three, all those guys are 17 seconds behind.
Yep.
We're sure that's because of the pitting and different strategies and everything, but still,
I mean,
those guys. I mean, shout out to Joe. I mean, first off, shout out to Ford. They've had an incredible year. I think that's their 6th win this year, something like that. Chevy has 2. I think Toyota only has 1. But Joe Gibbs has done a great job finishing top 3. Kyle Busch and Truex probably the top one of the top 3 racers in NASCAR. But it's been phenomenal watching NASCAR. And I think today was a great race, and so was last week with Keselowski just being right there.
Yep.
And Logano, Elliott, that happens just like Elliott and Kyle happened. So just got to move on from stuff like that.
Yep. And you talk about the dominance of Kevin Harvick in the front of that field with the stages, all the cautions we see. How often in a modern NASCAR race do we see less than 10 cars in the lead lap at the finish? Like that was crazy. There were 10 cars on the lead lap at the end? I mean, that's something we just don't see in NASCAR anymore. Sure, when there are more long runs in races, especially before the stage format and without competition cautions and stage cautions, that happened a lot more. But to see it with all these short runs, how few cars were on the lead lap at the end of that race, and I get that it kind of ended on a long run, that is crazy for modern NASCAR. So just goes to show what a dominant final run that was from Kevin Harvick and the guys at the top of the field. Definitely was a fascinating race today, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, it was an incredible race too. And trying to see this real fast. I think let me see. Yeah, so you had for Ford today. You had a good finish. They had a great finish, rounding out in the top 10. So, I mean, it was a good. I mean, Atlanta's known for being a Ford favorite track. So it proved today. But I still think Kyle and Truex should get their moment of shining here too, because they did good. But what I want to ask you now too is real fast. We don't have to do like top 10 or whatever. Just give me your thoughts, maybe 3 or 5 or whatever you want to do. Best racers in NASCAR.
Yeah.
And your prediction, and just give me a one winner. Give me a winner too for the whole entire Sprint Cup. Who do you think?
Man, well, one driver before I start on this, one guy I want to really shout out is Chase Elliott, because he's been a hard luck loser in a lot of races. He's been really putting together really impressive runs over the past few weeks. Chase is one of those guys where you could say it's a fluke, but with 7 wins at the age of 24, and all of those coming recently, where he hadn't won, remember, for almost his first 100 Cup starts, Chase is one of those guys where at this point he may be making the turn into being NASCAR's true next young star, and might be awesome Bill, watch out. Chase is coming. He's for real. But in terms of some of the best drivers in the Cup Series right now, I know he's off to a tough start, but I have a tough time betting against Kyle Busch. I do still think he's got a very real shot at winning the title this year. You don't always have to start out hot. We've seen it before, especially with the new playoff system. If you get in that thing, you got a very real shot to win it. I would say that Kyle Busch, to me, is still the favorite, but Kevin Harvick is right up there. Kevin Harvick's been really good. Shout out to my guy, Denny Hamlin. He is a great driver. And we've seen really strong runs from Hendrick, too. Hendrick maybe without one really good driver, but I really hope Jimmy gets back to victory lane. He's got a very real chance of doing it. Bowman and Elliott. Elliott I mentioned before. Those guys are both really good. And William Byron's just had some tough luck. So the glory days might be back in Hendrick. A lot of good drivers. I'll say, obviously Truex is really good too. I give Kyle Busch a slight edge as the best driver, though the pressure's on for him to prove it at this point. It's a great time for NASCAR.
Well, I mean, I agree. I think Kyle's the best. I mean, he's my favorite racer too. But I love Kyle. I think he's still the favorite. I don't think it's going to be 3 Joe Gibbs in the finals this year with, Hamlin and Truex last year. I think Truex gets in. I don't know about Hamlin this year, but you never know. I think Elliott's doing good. Ryan Blaney, he's been underrated.
Yep.
Kevin Harvick's been racing good. Elliott's been racing good. But I still think their top 3 are the guys who finished top 3 in Atlanta today with Harvick, Truex, and Kyle. And those are great racers. And also Kurt's not doing bad this year either. So you could see Elliott in there. You could see Kurt. You could see Jimmy. You could see Hamlin. Hamlin makes a little comeback here or there, but time will tell what happens. But I like Kyle right now.
Yep. It's just, I mean, I get he's off to a bit of a slow start, but he's a tremendous driver. And the other thing about Kyle is he's taking on such a crazy workload trying to race the Xfinity races, the truck races, finally scaled it back a little bit. But,
Yeah, he
the
has
thing I
a big
respect
load.
about Kyle, and you can say whatever you like about Kyle, the man loves to race. And you got to respect that he's going out there competing for wins in a series where he can't even win a championship. And he's not even necessarily making a lot of money with it. He's just there to race and to have fun and compete because he loves to race. And so I respect that about him. I think that the crammed schedule this year hasn't really supported him, hasn't really benefited him, but
Definitely not. Yeah.
I still think come playoff time, he's going to be ready to bring his A game, and I would not be surprised at all if he ends up with back-to-back championships.
Oh no, yeah, I agree. So we addressed NASCAR, but going back to McGregor's in the UFC, let's talk about the UFC 250 real fast. It was a good event. The main event or the co-main event or whatever it was pretty good. It was by decision. Nunez showed some class there at the end. It's a pretty good fight. What are your thoughts on the UFC 250 as a whole?
Yeah, so it's not like the last card where I would say there's really one particular fight that stood out to me, but I think it was overall it was a good card. It was just an action-packed, eventful card. You had knockouts, you had submissions, you had decisions, you had a little bit of everything. I feel like it was just a great showcase for what the UFC is all about. And seriously, can anybody beat Amanda Nunes at this point? I mean, she may just. I mean, we got people saying she's the best women's MMA fighter of all time, and I think there's a very real case for that. And no disrespect to Spencer, but she was completely outclassed, and I would anticipate a lot more of this from the Lioness. I don't see her slowing down anytime soon. So a good fight and ultimately a really good card.
Yeah, I definitely agree there, and I mean Nunes, she's knocked out Ronda Rousey when she was in the UFC. She's knocked out some big heavy hitters, so she's already known for being a great fighter. So it was good to see her win again. Spencer still did good. She's held in there, but a good fight overall. But in other sporting news too, I mean, there's been a lot of different things. MLB with all their drama, NBA is coming back in the end of July. Oklahoma State, if you want to throw that in there too.
Yep.
Um,
Postseason.
we've had Korean baseball. The Dinos, they're the top team in the league right now.
Rolling right now.
They're all on a roll. They're the
lost
top team in the league. They're dogging out.
This is a great team. The analytical forerunner of the league. It's great Korean players, brought in really good foreign guys. I mean, we are rolling right now. Let's go.
Oh yeah, y'all are wrong. I'll give you that. But I mean, otherwise in the sporting news, it's been kind of low. But I would do want to address real fast the elephant in the room too. Everyone in the world knows that there's been riots, looting, different things like that. But as to you're going to college, but as to teenagers, I mean, it's never good to see any form of racism. And I can speak for you. I bet. I mean, I can speak for myself at least. Neither of us condone any of that. We're against any racism whatsoever. So, but the thing is too that I want to address real fast too is whoever could be watching this, whoever knows, one thing that always is important is unity. And I think, especially this is a sports show unity, and we've seen that in so many different teams. I mean, there's been different controversies with Drew Brees' statement and all his teammates getting mad, then him recanting it, now people being happy or whatever. I mean, we're not going to get into discussion about who's right, who's wrong, looting, blah 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 blah. But one thing that we do have to address is the racism in America. It is a thing. It never should be, never should be a prevalent thing that someone should go to. I mean, I don't think it's as bad as it was back in the day, but it still is an issue in America, and we always need to just watch what we do. So that's all I wanted to say quickly. I mean, sure, everyone has different views, but the one thing that everyone has to, I mean, I think everyone does know and agree, except maybe for the few here on the left, here on the right, of people, that there is an issue in some cases. So just wanted to address that real fast.
Like obviously, we're a sports channel. We take pride in being a sports channel. We don't want to say this. We don't like to bring politics in, but if any of our 26 subscribers or whatever it is, anybody following us right now, see this, obviously we want to say Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, and people say that police brutality isn't an issue because there's only, there's very few, I don't know what the number is, but very few people being killed, being shot, killed, whatever, by police. Until that number is zero, we got work to do. So I hope that as a nation, we use this awful occurrence as something that brings us together, and let's promise to do better. White, black, wherever you come from, let's use this as something to realize enough is enough, and let's go, spread love and eliminate hate and violence and racism, and focus on things like sports that hopefully can bring us together. So.
Well, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. The number never will be zero because that's just how the world is. I mean, we live in a crazy world. I mean, that's just how life is. But there's always room for improvement, no matter what. And Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, blue lives even matter. Every life matters. And there are police out there that are, have bad stereotypes. There are white people, there are black people that have bad stereotypes. But one thing for sure, that our nation needs to come together. We've had Corona, so all I know is this: all this fighting isn't good, and so we need to get over it eventually. But anyways, that was just a little off tangent because I felt like that was something that maybe.
Yep.
Because I mean, if you don't address it, some people, you might get mad. But anyways, sports is always our passion. But I just wanted to, we don't want to get into anything else. But
yep, we're not.
Yeah.
Again, it's like we don't like to be political about this.
No, yeah.
Anytime we can use our platform, is hopefully to help in this fight a little bit for social justice and equality. We want to do that. So absolutely, I guess we'll close with that, and keep praying for our nation, keep helping our nation become a better place, because I love America. We're a great place, but we still got a long ways to go. We got to keep improving, and so
Sure.
Hopefully we use this as an opportunity to come together as a nation and get better with this stuff. So.
Yep, for sure. But also, everyone, watch NASCAR. It's worth it, even if you haven't started. NASCAR is worth it. Forget Korean baseball. NASCAR is better than Korean baseball.
KBO's amazing.
And hopefully MLB. Hopefully, I don't know. My perspective, I don't think MLB's coming back this year, but we got a lot of jack-o'-lanterns. But anyways, Ethan, close us out.
Let's go Dinos. NC Dinos for the win. Let's get that Korean series, and
Kyle Busch, baby.
See you later.